to make a great first impression. Have you heard this say before? Of course you have. We all heard it, that during a party or an interview or any encounter, it only takes few seconds for us to form a judgment on your personality. So think of your first time wisely. Let me share with you an experience that I've had with two encounters while I was in Istanbul. So during my trip, I got to meet two ladies from the Middle East. Both of them were Arab women from the Middle East. I've never met them before. They were both from my husband's side. The first lady was such a surprise and a delight. She took a moment to get to know me, ask my name, and then took photos. After some conversation, she was very present and very focused, to a point that she hardly cared about my husband or hers. She kept engaging with me in conversations in a way that it made me feel, you guessed it, very special. How do you think this encounter made me feel? I instantly loved this woman, and I hoped that I would see her again. Stay till the end and I will reveal the difference between the first one and the second one. So the second one was a bit full of herself, to be honest, immature, over talking on everyone, as if she was the only one who had something interesting to say. And what shocked me is that within 2 seconds, before we even took our breath or sat down, she started taking photos, and she was on her phone the entire evening, either showing stuff or talking to somebody, sending photos and messages, or just interrupting everyone because, she just remembered to say something. 10 minutes into our monologue conversation, listening to her stories about her life and her kids and so on, I stopped her, asking her if she knew my name. Well, you guessed it, she didn't. And didn't even take a moment to ask before she started going on and on and on about her existence. How rude is that? That you technically came to meet the wife of somebody you knew, but you didn't take a second of that whole deal to even ask or remember the name. So the first impression is very, very, very important. So the first lady, of course, who took the time to get to know me and had very interesting conversations, she was simply a delight. This woman lives in America, and over the years, she pretty much learned the fundamentals of etiquettes on how to have or make good first impression. Well, my impression of her was amazing. I invited her to my home, and I would be more than happy to entertain her a second, a third, and another time. However many times she needs to be around me, of course. The experience was just so delightful and one of a kind. The second one was a bit full of herself, simply rude and disrespectful, not understanding the fundamentals of etiquette. Is it because she lives in the Middle East? I'm not sure about that. But clearly the art of making a good impression was definitely not on her to-do list. So my experience was terrible, and it's one that I will never repeat again. A series of experiments by Princeton University, Dr. Janine Willis and Alexander Todorov, revealed that it all takes 1/10 of a second to form an impression of a stranger. Can you imagine? 1/10 of a second to form an impression. You can read the entire research in their article, First Impression, in the July issue of Psychological Science. So, be aware of your surrounding. Learn how to read the room. Take a moment and pause when you meet a person for the first time, because you never get a chance to make a second good impression. I found some behaviors or some people just to be so chaotic and so dismissive of the people around them. But if they knew that they only have a tenth of a second to either build a lifelong relationship or a one-time encounter that will never happen again, what would you do? So use this few seconds or a tenth of a second wisely, because you might not be able to use it again.